it's not that
Well, no, I'm saying I'm using that in general.
Well, it just
Choose what?
that they should get an abortion.
But what is an abortion?
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
In order for you and I,
because it's pretty clear what this.
no, it's not clear because when someone says I'm pro-choice, I just ask you choice about what? Well, it wasn't clear because you and I agree we're not pro-choice when it comes to rape. We're not pro-choice when it comes to murder. We're not pro-choice. Well, wait. Let's stay on point. Well, no. Because when someone says, like some of the opponents over here, they say to us, and you've heard it in your classroom, I believe a woman should have the choice to do whatever she wants with her body.
Sure.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay, let's put that. And I appreciate your honesty. Let's put that to the test.
Okay.
Do you believe a man should be able to do whatever he wants with his body?
Yeah.
Okay, so you believe a man should be able to go over and rape someone?
Okay, that's completely different.
Well, no, wait.
We're talking about breaking the law for one, but then we're talking about.
So you're not pro-choice.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
See, I'm merely trying to get a common definition that you and I can work with, not just something that you throw out as a phrase. Words mean something. And oftentimes in dialogue and discussions about different things, we sometimes have a definition in our mind, and you have a definition in your mind. We need to come up with what is an objective definition of what we mean so that both of us can be on the same page to discuss it. Because when you say, I'm pro-choice, I think a person should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies. You don't believe that. That is, it sounds good, but you've never put that phrase to the test. Because the truth is, you don't believe, I'm assuming you don't, common sense for both of us, you don't believe that a woman should be able to do whatever she wants with her body. You don't believe that.
That doesn't make sense because I do believe that.
Okay, so you believe, that's two different sentences. You cannot make up, you and I have a right to our own opinions, but we don't have a right to our own facts. So I'm merely trying to get you to clarify in your mind, and for me to clarify in my mind, when you say to me, Don, I believe that a woman should be able to, and a man, but I believe a person should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies. That is, I'm not saying you're willingly being irrational. That's an irrational statement. Because if you believe a man and woman should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies, then you believe a man and woman should be able to rape, murder, kill, or maim somebody because they're doing whatever they want with their bodies. And you and I don't believe it.
We all often just know what pro-choice is.
No, not at all. Because you're misunderstanding what pro-choice is. Then don't use a sentence that is not a rational sentence.
You don't have to.
What do you mean?
You don't have to.
Oh, no, yes, you do, because, and I'll show you where I'm going with this. When you say to me, a man or woman should be able to do whatever they want to their bodies, you and I believe that there should be boundaries on what people should be able to do with their bodies. How do we
What's the fascination about rape? About hurting ladies with rape. And it's just like, that's really extreme. I'm talking about if someone gets pregnant, let's just say when they're a kid, and they're still in high school, and they have the choice.
Wait, hang on a second. Hold on a second. I'm not going to go with emotional arguments. You guys seem like logical guys. I'm not going to go. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. No, it's an act. I'm talking about an act. Do you believe, if we get a further definition and hone in on what we're talking about, do you believe that you and I as men and women should be able to go and kill another innocent human being? Do you believe that? Do you believe that it should be legal for you and me as human beings to walk over and kill another innocent human being? Well, why is it illegal? It's immoral. Wrong. Just wrong. We all agree it's wrong. So you don't. So
But
exactly.
it's different. With the fetus, they're not alive.
Okay. Now we're getting down, because see, your sentences before make no sense in the real world, but now you narrow it down. So the issue is what you just said. If that's true, and we all agree that you can't go kill someone that's innocent, the question then is that a living human being or not? Because if it's not a living human being, I'm with you guys.
It's not conscious.
All right.
To be conscious, to be a human being, it has to have its own control over its emotions, to have emotions, to feel things, to be conscious of its surroundings.
Now, who told you that? Who told you
It's
that?
biology.
Oh, no, it's not biology. No, hang on. Biology and science are crystal clear. That is a fact. Wait. It's fact as much as we know it. In biology and science 100% agree. That is a living human being at the moment the sperm and egg come together. For you to assign things that it does, characteristics of that human being, to determine whether it's a living human being is dishonest. I'm not saying you're being intentionally. You're not recognizing that something that's conscious or unconscious doesn't determine its value and its reality. When we're sleeping, we're semi-conscious or unconscious. So are we a human being when we're awake, and we're not a human being when we're asleep? There are 4 differences between us right now and that fetus in the womb. There's 4 differences. The size, the level of development, the environment, and the degree of dependency. None of those, one of those is what you were talking about. It's conscious, it can do this, it can think for itself, it can suffer pain. So if I go and knock somebody out so they can't feel it and I kill them, well, hey, look, you couldn't feel it. That's just absurd, and you and I agree that. So if the medical doctors who perform abortions admit that it's the killing of an innocent human being, on that other panel, there's actual textbooks that you and I have read while we were in college, establish the reality of the humanness of that being in the womb. We cannot assign its value based on what it can and cannot do. It's a living organism. It's a human being. Its value is in its humanity. Its value is not in its size, its level of development, its environment, or its degree of dependency. Does that make sense? Even whether you agree or disagree, does that make sense? Because that's the reality. So if it's not a living human being at the moment of conception, then I agree you should be able to exterminate it and remove it, because you're just removing tissue. However, if it is a living human being, you and I have no right to take its life merely because of its location and environment. A baby in the womb is supposed to be in the womb during those first 9 months, because that's the safest place for the human being during that growing time of their life. When it pops out, it doesn't become something different. It merely changes location. And I would propose to you, I've been on the Sonoma State campus with our display about 4 years ago, and it was really interesting that most of the students and the teachers there will give you their version of the abortion argument, but they didn't want us to come and clarify that this just isn't, well, you have your feelings and I have my feelings. We must put the objective facts on the table. That is a living human being at the moment the sperm and egg come together. That makes you who you are. When I was who I was in the womb, you were who you are. The color of our skin, our eyes, our hair, unfortunately not our wig, but everything else was determined at the moment the sperm and egg came together. And you became a living being according to biology and science. I'm sure your biology teacher taught you that, or they just kind of skimmed over that part because
cells determine.
Sure. Well, not the cells. The cells are part of it. The DNA.
Cells once they come together.
Right.
And
Something's created.
yeah, whole type of
Sure.
cells.
Yeah. Well, if that's true, when that becomes the reality, the only difference between you and I right now and in the womb is time and nutrition. So therefore, the answer is there is no such thing as the choice to exterminate that innocent human being because it's another person. It's another being. It's a human life.
In a world where free will exists, free will implies that you can choose.
No, never does. Never does. That's chaos.
What's the term?
You think that we should have the free will to do whatever we want?
Well, isn't that what humans are here for?
No, they're not here to have free will to do whatever they want. They're here to have free will to choose what's right and what's not wrong.
Yeah, right for them.
No, not at all. Because a rapist would say it was right for me. A pedophile would say it was right for me. A thief who robs a bank would say, hey, it's right for me. My family's in trouble. I needed the money. I've always wanted a car.
They made the choice.
But they shouldn't have the legal choice.
The consequences that they will share later on.
Well, no, more than that. We have made it that they can't do that. That if they do it against nature and against the laws of the land. There's a difference between, I agree with you that they can choose to go rob the bank, but we're not talking about a free choice that's legal. We're talking about you may make a decision to do something wrong, but you do not have a legal or moral right to do what's wrong. You don't have a moral right to rob the bank. Well, but wait, my family's in trouble. We're going to get kicked out of our house. You and I would say, you still don't have a right to harm someone else and shoot the, security guy at the bank. You don't have a right to do that because of your circumstances. You have the choice to do it, but remember, like you said, there's consequences. I say the same thing with abortion. You can choose to abort the baby and use a coat hanger or use an abortionist, whatever you want, but you are choosing to violate the rights of that baby in the womb. A woman does not have more rights than a baby. She does right now legally because of the corrupt Supreme Court. Well, okay.
That's when they find their rights.
All right. Let's put what I hear what you're saying. Let's put what you just said to the test.
Well, I actually do have to go to class.
You know what a fetus is?
Yeah, someone that's being developed
Well, yeah, sort of. That's well, it's sort of right. A fetus is a description of a time of your life. Like if I called you a teenager, am I devaluing you? Do you have less rights as a human being than I know? You and I are fellow human beings. If I call it a toddler, does that make that less? The word fetus is a medical term to describe a stage of development of the human being, not a stage of pre-humanity. See, so we got to be careful using those terms, and I know the pro-choice used it probably in the classroom. Well, it's a fetus, it's not a baby.
Well, do you want to call it a zygote? Because that's what it also is.
If you call it a zygote, you know what I'm going to say to you? I know exactly what stage of development you're talking about, because in medical terms, that's what the purpose of those words were. The purpose of those words were not to dehumanize it. It was merely to describe a stage of development of that baby. Like we say, hey, the toddler. Immediately, you and I look there. See, if I had said a teenager or an adult, you would have looked there. So that's the only purpose of the word. Every one of those are human beings. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, hey guys, I appreciate you stopping and talking. And we'll be here today and tomorrow.
I'll probably come back.
Yeah, we'll be here till about 1:30 or so. So, hey, thanks for the conversation. Take care, buddy.